Thanks everyone for joining us for another episode of our Spotlight series brought to you in partnership with Dentons. My name is Julia Celeru and I'm the co-founder of Proptech Collective, a not-for-profit community focused on bridging the communication and knowledge silos between the PropTech and real estate worlds. I am very grateful to be joined today by my lovely co-host, Candace Shaheen, who I'll invite to introduce herself right now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Candace Shaheen, and I'm a senior associate with Dentons in the Toronto Venture Group. I practice primarily venture tech work, which means everything from financings to exits and everything in between.
And every month we partnered up with Dentons to highlight the diverse stories of founders, of investors, and change-making real estate professionals that are part of the Proptech Collective community, with the sole goal to essentially learn more about their experiences and the trends that they're seeing in this space. So today, super thrilled to have Arnab join us today, who is the CEO at SoulRooms. Welcome, Arnab.
Hi, Julia and Kendra. Thanks a lot for having me.
No, it's our pleasure. So let's kick this off with the first question. Can you tell us more about your journey? Who is Arnab and how did you get to be the CEO of SoulRooms today?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to start with. I am a civil engineer by undergrad degree, so that, engineering background comes into play where like problem solving, is there. And then I worked across Southeast Asia, including India, Singapore, China, Middle East, and then in North America, majorly over a decade of experience in real estate investments and asset management. The story actually starts in a dorm room in our MBA colleges at Schulich. And when we were about to get graduated, we got this letter saying, you're going to be graduated, you need to find your place in the downtown Toronto. And we were all like scrambling across Facebook marketplaces to find the right place. And I, after 15 minutes of chat with this random stranger on Facebook, was asked to transfer $1,000 to a random account. And that's when, like the whole story of like SoulRooms started. That was the beginning of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's always interesting to learn about businesses that actually come from like real world experiences, and certainly with their founders. Perhaps for our listeners who don't know SoulRooms very well, perhaps you could give us a walkthrough of what you're doing it and how technology supports it.
Yeah, absolutely. So at SoulRooms, as I mentioned, that it was a young professional problem which we faced from the consumer side of things. And then we spoke to, almost like 300 landlords and over 1,000 people like during our surveys and initial research, and understood the challenge in the whole industry is like cities like Toronto and like New York and all these, like high demand cities where high immigration and migration is there. This is not a right ticket size item which young professional can actually rent, because the entire units are too expensive for their pocket, while like renting by room is not something which is mainstream and still done on C2C marketplaces, and people get scammed. So when we spoke to the landlords, we figured that when we asked them why you are not like enabling shared housing or enabling renting by room in your entire properties, we figured that there are few areas of marketing, sales, as well as automation of operations, which is not in place, which SoulRooms is now actually fixing and bridging the gap so that we bring more right ticket size items. So what SoulRooms essentially does, we enable landlords to actually effectively rent to modern renters by the room. The entire unit could be by the room, or entire like one bedroom or studios as well could be rented through SoulRooms. And the entire process of our application, matching the roommate, and as well as like, the paperwork is all technology supported. So the landlord and the tenant gets a very convenient experience of renting, and which is very essential for young professionals who have like now, loaded their self with their digital lifestyles and like, moving around quite a bit.
So it's super interesting because obviously this is such a value add for landlords who before were unable to kind of manage a space, as you say, per room. and now are maybe even getting potentially more revenue from kind of going by this piecemeal size, right? I am curious to understand. So on this co-living trend, it's obviously demand for it in metropolitan cities has probably gone up. As you say, the prices of rent have skyrocketed. So I'm curious to understand if we move towards the co-living trend. Can you tell us more about how the emergence of this trend has happened in Canada, and I guess how does policy play a part in it as well?
Yeah, I think like I would address the second part. Of course, policy is very important, and given there are very stringent policies around renting in Toronto, co-living has been slower in growth. We ourselves face so many right kind of questions, which is around policies and things. In a lot of places in US, it's being more accepted. City of Toronto also is looking into their policies around rooming houses and how they would describe this going forward. The trend itself, so co-living has been there since 1920s, right? So people used to live in dorm, they used to find places like that. But now more than ever, it is more essential given the pricing and the rental affordability issue, which most of these cities are facing. And when you look at the entire economic realm of real estate, you always see a demand will come into the marketplace and the entire supply will follow through. Given it's real estate, not transportation like Uber or any other places, it is a bit slow. And we are trying to be the pioneers, especially in the Canadian market, to bring that supply to this demand, which has grown like tremendously in 2017. Just to give you, a bit of it, during this time, we have an active wait list of more than 50 tenants, and we are all sold out in Toronto, and really looking for more landlords to get on board and making them understand how this model benefits both sides of the table.
And I guess I'm like curious too, obviously from the demand perspective, it seems like you're helping the landlords, but there's also like a massive help on the actual tenant side, right? Like I cannot, going back to your story about how after 15 minutes you had to deposit $1,000 into someone's bank account. Like, how do you guys ease that process and kind of make co-living demand also go up?
So the one thing which everyone needs is transparency. And in our whole process, we ensure there is very good transparency of what we are trying to offer and what the person is getting. Plus, the second most important thing is convenience. It is very easy to book a soul room. Like it's extremely easy. And a lot of people we have spoken to, even our cohort mates and alumni from our school as well, has said like, this would have saved my life when I moved to Toronto, or like this would have saved me like when I was graduating, because it's damn easy. There is low paperwork requirement while upholding all the standards what landlord requires. So the transparency and convenience is really great value add. And of course, like we are a brand which like people can trust, and for a lot of people who choose this way of living, they really are looking to meet new people too. So that also enhances the whole experience overall for co-living market.
That's it's really interesting to understand sort of the issues that you're trying to address with SoulRooms. Mm-hmm. One sort of glaring issue, certainly in Toronto and in other cities in Canada, is housing affordability and the solutions. I think SoulRooms sort of offers another option for people that are looking to live in the city. Besides co-living, which is obviously sort of your specialty, have you seen any other innovative thinking to help tackle this issue of affordable housing in Toronto or elsewhere?
You know what, Kendra? Like if there was a magic bullet to it, it would have been solved already. But there is like multi-pronged approaches which cities could take to solve for housing affordability. Co-living is a tech solution which just enhances the available ticket size items for a lot of people. But at the grassroots, there are like multiple other functional aspects of the city which could like really help for the housing affordability problem. One of them, which I recently, observed, was the community trust lands. Actually, that is one of the really interesting parts, which the Bloor City in Toronto and Bloor and Dufferin developers have got into. And such community land trust actually takes off the land from speculative market and really helps the city and the community to stay low cost, and it reduces the whole development cost. Those kind of initiatives of community land trusts and investments tied to development in the community would enable that mixed income community to thrive, where people are not priced out of neighborhoods. Because if there is already community trust land which is run by community, can support affordable housing around it, that is a more structural solution, which I'm really excited to see how it grows, given whatever is happening in the city.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that, again, the moment that I guess the land titles and the parcels of the land are starting now to get investment also from institutional investments coming in to buy single family rental homes as well. So that's also heating up the market quite a lot. So we'll need more solutions, I guess, in the space coming, and very happy to kind of hear about the co-living also playing a part in it and making it a bit more affordable. I guess I'm curious to know, obviously 2020 and 2021 have been kind of abnormal years. And I'd be keen, obviously, as someone who has spent so much time thinking about this space, could you give us, your advice or your insights that you've had on how COVID has impacted co-living, and how do you see it as coming out afterwards?
Yeah. So effects of COVID was, as you define, co-living doesn't go with COVID, right? Anyway. And we had this whole blog written about the trials and terms of COVID and co-living. And the whole idea of this was we do believe this is momentary, and we are seeing it right now, given we're all sold out and there are people knocking on our doors to have this, position, because most of them are priced out. Till the time there is a long-term solution to this housing affordability issue and the supply matching this modern renter demand. During COVID as well, we have seen a good amount of success, given whatever was going out, just making sure the places are safer for our renters to rent. The past 2 years have been a roller coaster for us as well. We have learned a lot with ever-changing policies with immigration, ever-changing policies with people living together, and making sure everybody is feeling safe in these spaces with the help of landlords. But now, when we are coming out of it, we are seeing the market go back really, really quickly compared to the times when we started in 2019. This, I think, is a trend which is going to grow up as more borders open up. We will see the resurgence of the downtown and the other cores, which are really popular among people.
That's it's incredible, right? We've had a massive change in the last, I guess we could say close to 2 years. And so seeing sort of this paradigm shift in how we live and how we access housing, and sort of the impact it has on our views sort of living with others is really intriguing to me. I think moving away from the market and what we're seeing as trends, I think we're really curious about your experience as an entrepreneur. And for our listeners, I think a lot of them may be interested in entrepreneurship and starting their own business, may already be involved in a startup of some sort. And so I guess our next set of questions is really trying to dive into the experience of starting your own business. And I guess probably a classic question that you've heard a number of times, but what is the hardest part, or what is the most unexpected part about taking the entrepreneurship path?
Entrepreneurship is unexpected, I believe. You every day you wake up, you don't know which fire you will be putting down, and going forward, and where you will be heading with your team on certain aspects of what's going on with external environment, especially I think resilience is one thing which I have learned through COVID, and because every day you wake up, you read the newspapers or whatever is out there, and you have a new story to work on. right, and a new thing to work on. And we tried to grow, and now we are seeing the results as well. So most unexpected was COVID for me. Like when we started, this is essentially my second venture. I sold off my first company, moved to North America, and like this one, we started in like by the end of fall of 2019, and then we're just like 3 months in, and the COVID hit. So for us, this was like a really in closer to 2 years, we have had a journey of more than 4 years, because every day was like double or more for us, given the circumstances. Of course, the thrilling part about it is like great learning, great understanding, and ability to make the real social impact. Because whenever we talk to our renters, or we recently actually launched York University SoulRooms as rented out within 7 days on the platform. And when we hear these stories from our landlords who were earlier apprehensive of like trying out the model, now say, oh, I want to put more on SoulRooms, is really exciting for us.
That's amazing. You actually like stole it, because I know we start asking about what is the most challenging part, and then after we have like what is the best part as well. But hearing about your customer stories, I think definitely should bring you joy, and also probably have helped with your resilience during this time as well.
Yes, it did.
I mean, you've built a business in the middle of a global pandemic that no one could sort of predict or sort of expect and understand how we would navigate it. So I think there's there's some deep resiliency there.
Yeah, I wish I was the CEO of Zoom. I would have.
I think a lot of us may have thought
yeah,
that once or twice over the course of the last 20 months or so.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm we're curious to understand. Obviously, we're now kind of at that hopefully end of the pandemic, or at least we're starting to really kind of reopen in a more meaningful way. What's top of mind to you as you look to continue growing your business in 2021 and beyond?
It's like now it's basically straight up growth. We see like we have created a brand which like has good side of demand and like grow from here. So we're focusing majorly on our product improvements, where we can bring better features to support our landlords, place these things, place their units on the platform, and like great partnerships across board to move from Toronto. We now also are in Winnipeg, so moved from 2 cities to now more cities across board in North America.
Yeah, so North America as well, which is amazing. So crossing boundaries like internationally, I think that's going to be a fun challenge. What's your first city in terms of international expansion? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, so we were thinking about actually some underdog cities like Texas and Atlanta, and like places in Atlanta, right? So the cities which are underserved currently with the giants in the US, and we can have better presence in those cities. Texas specifically, there is a lot of movement happening from Silicon Valley there as well, and a lot of modern renters, which we call like want convenience and transparency, are there. So probably like we would be there as well.
That's awesome. All right.
Great. So I guess, yeah. Sorry, can I go ahead?
Sorry, I was going to say, well, I think that's it for our sort of prop tech related questions. We do this thing called rapid fire questions, and for our listeners, our guest has not received these questions, so he's not aware of what we're about to ask him. So Julia, why don't you kick it off with the first, and then I can take it.
This is going to be super high stress. Let's see how the entrepreneur performs.
Harder than COVID.
No, they're just fun questions. So just to get you to know you better as a person, because I think that's also part of community building on our end. So I guess first question, as part of rapid fire, what's a book that you always recommend?
0 to 1, Peter Thiel.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's a great one.
Also great speed on that response. Okay, next question. One thing that you're looking forward to in the next few months, you can't say travel.
You can, oh, okay, in the next few months, of course, like it's a SoulRooms growth. like I was not thinking about travel as well. Okay. Yeah, I just canceled one of my trip because of this. So we should just have this, before any fourth wave comes. Of course, like we should have our growth targets met.
Nice. And then I guess in terms of traveling, and this could be for work or not for work, you can say, but what's the first place that you will travel once restrictions are fully lifted?
So that's a tough one. So like I think non-work, I do want to like travel again to Miami. That's one of the places, and I think for work I will go to Texas or Dallas. Like especially like once restrictions are off a bit. So these are the places.
Nice. Do you have a quote that resonates with you that you sort of repeat to yourself or keep close?
Yeah, so it just comes to my mind. It's by Swami Vivekananda. It's like arise, awake, and go on till the goal is met.
Yes, that is kind of resilience packaged up in a nice quote, right? That's amazing.
Yeah. It's a really nice
meditate. I'm curious.
Is that?
I'm curious if you meditate.
I do actually. Yeah, that's like part of life. That's how I can take my stress off for like most of like most of the days.
I guess the as part of that, I guess if you weren't working on SoulRooms, like what would you be doing?
Solving another problem, probably, like somewhere. not too sure. Like maybe not as a CEO, maybe like like working with some fascinating other startup, I believe, and solving another problem. I love doing that for sure.
The engineer in you has spoken.
Yes, exactly.
That's amazing. Well, I guess as we're kind of completed, thank you so much. We're not going to spring any more questions on you, but
thank you. That was a relief.
No, but we're curious to know, obviously, as part of the community that we're building here, we're like to bring awareness to what exciting ventures entrepreneurs are building in the space, and that's why we're so thankful to have had you here on as part of our Spotlight series. I guess, are there any asks from your side that you have for the Proptech Collective community?
Yes, any landlord which you guys think could benefit from SoulRooms, please feel free to ping me or like introduce me to them. I'm happy to like help them get onto the platform and start working and bringing that supply to the market.
Awesome. We'll put an ask out. And where can people learn more about SoulRooms? Tell us where we can find you on the internet.
Yes, you can go to like soulrooms.com, of course, like that's the platform where you can find and write to me directly at arnab@soulrooms.com or LinkedIn. Like my LinkedIn profile is Arnab Dastidar, where anyone can ping me as well.
Awesome.
Great.
Yeah. And these days I'm trying Twitter as well, so you can reach me at Arnab Dastidar at Twitter too.
Nice. This is, I feel like everyone now has so many handles. They're like, this is the only way we can communicate. So stay on top. But thank you so much for your time. So many thanks again to both Kanda and Dentons for helping us bring the Spotlight series to life. For all of our listeners, if you share the same values and have an active interest in building up your professional network, we'd encourage you to join Proptech Collective as an official member. We have pre and paid company memberships for the PropTech and real estate companies. So you can always learn more on our website, which is proptechcollective.com/join community. So make sure to follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn as well. But until next time, Arnab, Kenda, thank you so much for your time and stay safe.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Kanda.
Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye.